So yes, it is true. We do have some good news regarding Social Security. So make sure you stick around for this entire video, and I will share with you what has happened just recently. But again, this is big. And the reason why this is so big is because millions of Americans have been waiting for the Biden administration to come out and propose changes to Social Security and increases to Social Security. Now, first I want to talk about a small survey that was done just recently, and then we're going to dive into what the Biden administration is proposing as of now. Let's get to the survey. First, all I ask is if you can spend just 2 seconds, go ahead, hit that like button. If you have any questions, please ask your questions down in the comment section below. But let's get to this survey, because in this survey, it asked what the greatest worry for the American people was in 2023. Well, back in 2020, it was the virus. In 2021, it was the virus plus inflation. And last year in 2022, it was all about interest rates, the stock market, real estate, and overall, the U.S. economy. Today, we're back to inflation. That's the big worry. Now, why does this matter? Why does this little survey matter? It matters because the American people are worried. The Biden administration is trying to figure out a way to increase benefits, provide funding, do more social spending programs, and figure out a way to give back to the American people. Now, everybody's greatly concerned about inflation. Is it going to go higher? Will it remain sticky towards the essentials like food and energy? Or what are we about to see? Well, that's what I want to address. Here's what I can tell you, okay? This is where the Biden administration has turned their sights onto just recently. The Biden administration understands that low-income households are being negatively impacted the most. This is why I bring this up, and this is why they have started really looking into ways to improve things that are going to the lowest income earners. For example, Medicare. They want to cut costs to Medicaid, right? They want to bring back a little bit more money and provide more benefits to Social Security recipients. Here's what we know. In a recent proposal that came out today, President Biden, he proposed changes to Social Security. We also know Senator Bernie Sanders proposed that $200 per month increase to Social Security recipients, but that is not something that President Biden is really pushing for at this time, simply because Democrats don't believe they have enough power in the Senate to even get things through. Not to mention, Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy, has said he would never put that bill on the House floor. So there's really no point to push this through. Now, today, President Biden promised additional benefits to Social Security recipients. The first thing that President Biden wants is to see more long-term fixes for Social Security. He's asking for additional funding that will ensure that the American people no longer have to wait for essential services. Now, why is he asking for this funding? Well, remember I said President Biden demands, he demands larger benefits, okay, more benefits. He's demanding these because he truly believes that people are waiting too long to receive their benefits. They are on the phone, they're having to submit paperwork, and it just takes too long. So he believes sending additional funding to the Social Security Administration would fix this. Now, President Biden didn't go into details about how his plan would actually work or what exactly he's proposing to fix Social Security or the Social Security Trust Fund. But he wants to start with the Social Security Administration first. According to experts, they believe that starting with the administration would make it easier to find a long-term solution to the Social Security funding problem. And this is why President Biden is proposing a 10% increase to the Social Security Administration's budget for 2024. This means the Social Security Administration, if this budget were to pass, which I'm telling you right now, it will not, as it currently stands, the whole budget. Pieces, possibly. The whole thing, absolutely not. But this would mean that the Social Security Administration would receive an additional $1.4 billion. And if you remember, again, I talked about this maybe earlier this week, if not, it was last week. I talked about how the IRS, even though they've received or going to receive $80 billion over the next 10 years. They've only used $1 billion since last year. That additional $1 billion has done a great service for the IRS. They've been able to greatly improve their services. It's been huge for them. Just $1 billion. So this $1.4 billion increase to the Social Security Administration, this would take their yearly funding to $15.5 billion for 2024. And again, experts believe this would be enough to get them over that hump. But we will see. Another benefit that President Biden is proposing is that $35 cap on insulin that would provide, or for people on private insurance. In the past, or in last year's Inflation Reduction Act, if you remember, insulin was capped at $35 as well. However, only for people that were on Medicaid, not private insurance. So that is where he's looking at expanding benefits. And again, President Biden is demanding more benefits. Okay, he's not trying to demand larger checks yet. That's probably something that he's going to do eventually. But the key here is if the Biden administration can bring down costs for people on Social Security and on a fixed income, if he brings down costs, essentially it makes it look like their income is larger. So it's a little tricky, but that is what they're currently doing. President Biden is also dead set on allowing Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices moving forward. Now, he's proposing an expansion of medications that can be negotiated. And this is key because as of right now, there's a small amount of medications that can be negotiated. But if he expands that, then potentially they could save even more money for the American people or people on Social Security. Now, something that we need to be very clear about. Again, I kind of just addressed this, but the Biden administration is planning on increasing benefits for people on Social Security, but they're doing it through a roundabout way. And we've heard this, and I see this all the time, and honestly, it's somewhat frustrating where people here on YouTube are saying that a $200 per month boost has been approved. It hasn't been approved. Honestly, it's the proposal is barely getting proposed, right? There's not enough support for it. But what's happening and what the Biden administration is planning on doing is, again, decreasing costs to those on Social Security. And by decreasing costs, it essentially looks like the income that you're receiving is greater because it can go a little bit further. So that's what they're doing. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you one thing. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think the Biden administration going a roundabout way to provide a savings for people on Social Security, do you think that's the best move? Or do you think they should just do what they promised it in the beginning and give people on Social Security that $200 boost? Let me know down in the comment section below. Because here's what I can tell you. A boost of $200 per month to Social Security recipients would do a lot of good for those people. However, the people that are coming up to potentially collect Social Security benefits in the next 2, 5, or even 10 years, they're probably not going to have 100% benefits because this $200 increase per month or $2,400 per year, this is going to be so large, it's going to dip into the Social Security Trust Fund so much that it would actually cause Social Security to become insolvent much sooner, potentially 3 to 4 years early. That is where it's a huge, huge worry whether or not you do this or not. So we will see, but as always, just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing so you never miss an update, and I will see you guys on the next one.